And what we're going to do right now is we're going to dive in real quick into something that I call identifying your ideal client, and just going to help you out real quick with that. So as I mentioned before that, I was looking out for networking events and conferences and information that would help me. So that was on the learning part. Now came the doing part, and this is something that a lot of you may identify with. I knew my products, I knew my services, I knew my worth. I had 17 years of experience doing what I do, which is helping people make more money, but really specifically focusing on their needs and then fitting them with their solutions. I knew all that, and I knew to go out and look for them, but I was having a really hard time making those connections. I would go to networking events and I would think to myself, okay, this is the one. This is the one that I'm going to return, and I'm going to have amazing qualified leads, and they're going to lead into sales. Of course, that didn't happen. And like a lot of new entrepreneurs, a lot of dollars was spent going to all sorts of networking events. I'm sure we've all been there, and different events. And just learning from the events that you go to which one is a better fit or not. But I still wasn't making that connection. There was a type of client that I was looking for that was ideal for me, and he or she seemed elusive. So I was getting clients, yes, but they were not the kind of clients that I wanted. I was not getting the kind of clients that got me all fired up. The ones that you finish a phone conversation with or a meeting, face-to-face meeting with, and you're like, yes, this is why I do what I do. No. Instead, I found myself thinking, you really left the government job for this. Because I had just left 7 years working for Canada Revenue Agency, and I used to work with sole proprietors, partnerships, corporations, small, medium businesses. And before that, I worked for several Fortune 500 companies. And yeah, the pay was great, and there were a lot of benefits there. But my heart was not alive. My soul was not alive. I was slowly dying, as I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. And so come over to this stage, and I seem to be attracting those kinds of clients, or those kinds of meetings, where I'd look at my appointment book and I'd think, okay, so we have this call that we have to make, and I wasn't excited. And so like any good person out there, I went and I started to study. I went and I took all the courses I could. I went and I looked for all the information in the world because I was thinking, I gotta fix this problem because I know myself. I am going to find what I want because I must love what I do. I just must love what I do. I must. And if I don't love this, we need to fix something. We need to find the problem. Why am I not connecting? Why am I not finding my ideal client? I know what I bring to the table. I know who I am. Why am I not finding my perfect person? And so I spent all this time online, and I spent hours and days, and I was just looking at information and trying different things, and it wasn't working. And then one day I just sat back. It was about 2 a.m. on one of those days when you've just been on the internet just chasing link after link after link and reading everything and trying to see what you could apply. And then I thought to myself, okay, Julia, take a break. Let's turn off our left brain for a second here. That analytical look at information and crunch it. Let's stop. What's your background? I'm like, and I started listing off, my CRA and Fortune 500 and schools and this and that. I was like, no. What's your background? And I said, I'm a writer. And so I look at the world as stories, and I look at people as stories and pictures, and I always see motion pictures, which is why I did film, which is why I took writing. Those are the things that I did in school. So I said, okay, so that's your background. I said, yeah, but that has nothing to do with this. I need to find my ideal client. I need to find my perfect person. This is not working. And then I thought, wait, but let's use the right side, right? Let's tell a story. Tell me about your client. I'm like, I did. Here's the demographics, here's the analytics. No. Tell me about your client. What was your client doing before this problem came up? How did your client feel? What was your client doing to solve the problem? Because we always compensate as human beings. If you have a problem and you're not looking for a solution, you will always compensate until the point where you can't. So for example, you will stay in miserable jobs until you can't. Or you will keep compensating until you find a way to just make it work. We're always looking for that perfect equilibrium. It's just in our genes, it's just the way we are. And you know this from different things that you do, right? And I said, okay, so tell me what makes your client happy. How does your client escape? So if your client has not found a solution, what does your client do to escape or to compensate? And so I started to write out the story. And as I wrote the story, my passion, my love, my desire for what I was doing came alive. Because suddenly this person was so real, realer than he or she had ever been before. Because I knew what he or she would do when distracted, I knew where to go to reach that person. Because I knew what he or she was thinking right at the moment of awareness of a problem, I knew what kind of information to present that person. And so I set out on an experiment and I said, I'm giving myself 30 days, let's see how this works. And within 30 days, I had built up my list, I had doubled my income, and I had gotten the ideal person that I wanted to work with. In technical terms, this is called a buying cycle.